everybody, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About. This is me, Amin.
And this Alex.
And today we're going to talk about probably the hottest car that's going to be launched. Is it going to be launched this year?
Definitely this year.
The hottest car that's going to be launched this year, the Proton X50. So the Proton X50 has been generating a lot of interest and buzz. I think a lot of people have been talking about it right after the X70 was launched. I think Proton has also been hinting that there's going to be like a cheaper, smaller variant based SUV that's going to come to Malaysia. And if you look at the sales of the X70, I think a lot of people are like really keen to get a Proton. I think it's one of the Proton sales numbers have been up. It's been led by the X70, and a lot of people look at the X70 as a car that's for maybe older generation, people with families and whatever. So the X50 is built to be like the cooler version of Proton's SUV lineup. So a couple of weeks ago, Proton had like a preview, and Alex went down to Tanjung Malim to check out what the whole buzz is all about. So Alex, the Proton X50, does it live up to... Okay, what was your expectation of the car before you saw it in real life?
Well, I think a lot of Malaysians have been seeing signs of what the car is going to be like, because everyone knows that it's based on the Geely Bin Ye.
Yeah.
And if you look at the Chinese reviews, even in the Philippines, where it's launched as a Geely Coolray, yeah, it's a very funny name, Coolray, you can tell that this is quite a modern looking car. In fact, everyone knows that it's going to be a much better car compared to X70 in terms of tech, and that includes the autonomous safety features. And when it's finally revealed to the media for the first time, I think it's much better than I expected.
Okay, so it's based on a Geely car, obviously. I mean, Geely owns most of Proton now. So it's like open secret lah. What markets do you know what markets the Bin Ye and the Coolray is available? In China?
In China, the Philippines, basically most of the left-hand drive markets.
And then you read the reviews, right? So what did the reviews say for the Geely version?
For the Geely version, apparently, okay, I think most of them agree that you're getting a lot of car for your money, especially the amount of tech that's packed inside. And of course, like in the Philippines, right? Of course, like similar to Malaysia, we have this negative perception about Chinese product cars, but this car is said to be the car that's going to change that perception based on the level of premiumness and the level of tech that's packed into the car.
That perception was here when it was announced that Proton was going to be bought by Geely. Like, Chinese cars, what the hell, right? But I think the X70 has like smashed that stereotype lah.
Yep.
So you went down to Tanjung Malim, you saw the car. What do you think?
I think it's awesome. It looks pretty good, because I've seen the X70. I've driven it during the test drive which Proton organized.
Got it stuck in sand.
Yeah, if you missed that video, you can click somewhere here. Watch until the very end. And yeah, it looks better because it looks more, it looks sharper. Like you can see some design elements that...
Like looks like in terms of the outside or the inside? So you're talking about
both
the outside?
Side.
Okay.
Both
sides.
Both sides. In and out. Because on the outside it looks sharper. I like the aggressive look. The grille looks fantastic. I like the contrasting red line that they have in the grille, because that also incorporates Proton's identity design, like the interior bow, like a bow shape, and also the infinity weave in the front. And also you can see like some small elements that try to mimic the design of an aircraft. Like if you look at the area whereby the headlamp meets the grille, you can see some sort of like a winglet inspired design, and even the aircon vents themselves, you also get like this like jet engine turbine kind of look. And even on the inside, the first thing you notice is the display. So instead of the integrated the touch screen panel that you see on the X70, you get the floating screen on the dash on top. Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool.
Other than that?
Okay, in terms of another thing is that for the Malaysian market for right-hand drive, Proton says that they have actually used like 400 different components compared to the left-hand drive version. So they actually use different parts. And one thing I like about the X50 for Malaysia is that we are getting rear aircon air vents at the back. and 2 USB ports, which they don't have on the left-hand drive version that you get in China and the Philippines.
Okay, so maybe because the left-hand drive countries, except for Philippines, generally left-hand drive countries are cooler in terms of weather.
Maybe like in Europe or that, but for especially in Malaysia, in Asian weather, then again, even like those countries, right, they also have summer. Summer's sizzling hot.
Yeah, summer's hot. But you know, back then, air conditioning wasn't standard in those countries. So so.
And also the same thing is that another thing is that for smaller cars, right, most car makers for smaller cars, they don't really fit a rear aircon vent behind because it's so small, right? Normally they just rely on the front aircon vents to blast to the back.
But you know, nowadays like a lot of like smaller cars have rear aircon vents. I think it's a Malaysian thing. Like I know I'm not sure whether the Vios has it, but I know the City has it.
Yeah, City has it.
A few other small cars has it, and you know, it's good that you pointed that out because like installing a rear aircon vents is not just simply like plug and play because you got to like duct the whole thing to the back and you got to make sure that the compressor and the blower and everything is powerful enough to blow air at the back. Did anybody ask those kind of questions during the presentation?
No, not really. But if you look at the segment itself, right, like the Honda HR-V, even the Mazda CX-3, you don't get rear aircon vents at the back. So I think it's the first for this segment.
Yeah, and you're talking about the segment, right? So obviously during the preview, the price wasn't revealed. And then after that, there was like a leak, and that like kind of indicated the price range for the Proton X50 and the flagship model. So there's 4 variants. We'll talk about the variants later. So there's the flagship, which is the highest model. That was built to cost about 100 and what? 100.
I mean the leak. They listed at 103,000, 103,800 ringgit.
And so everybody thought that was going to be the pricing. So the other apparently what happened was in one of the Facebook posts, a person that's attached to Proton went out. So I'm not sure whether that person is officially coming in as an official statement, but he mentioned that that's not it's false, it's fake news, and the pricing is wrong.
Yeah, actually they actually confirmed that on Proton's page. So shortly after that post, Proton actually posted on their social channels to confirm this fake news.
So is the price going to be below 100 for the flagship model?
They didn't indicate, so we don't know right now. But from the launch, right, so everyone's trying to poke the CEO and the management, okay, what's the pricing going to be like? And then they indicated that this X50 series will going to be competing against multiple segments. It's not just targeting the B segment SUVs like the HR-V, CSR and all that. It's going to target like other cars, like sedans, less than 100,000.
Like the City
and
Vios, the Jazz.
Yes. And also, there's one part whereby the CEO also said that why we can't price it above the X70. He just asked the question. He didn't confirm.
Well, okay, if I was there, I would tell you, well, that's just simply not smart pricing strategy because you're going to cannibalize the X70 market. You want to have clear segmentation so that people are very guided on what they want to buy. It's like a menu item in a restaurant. Things are placed and priced for a reason to get you to buy what they want you to buy, what the best-selling item is. So obviously, Proton would like to make already the X70 is a volume seller. It's a lot. Obviously, Proton wants to make the X50 sell much more. And during the presentation, and I saw you shared the material, they are targeting this to the younger audience, people who are just started their jobs, people who are not married yet, or very young couples that just got married. The X50 is built for that. It's targeted for those people. And these people are within the very price conscious segment. They're not going to spend over 100,000 ringgit on a small mini SUV. So I think that's just him trying to be funny lah. I personally think that the X50 is going to be just below 100,000 because it's going to make the proposition very interesting. Because if he's saying that he's targeting a lot of different segments, the best way to like really kill everybody and spoil the market is just to throw the price.
But then again, I tend to agree with him because he did mention that, which is true, by the way, that the X50 has better tech than the X70. Because the X70, right, you only get level 1 semi-autonomous driving features. Like for example, The X70 only gets lane warning system, lane departure warning. So if let's say you accidentally drive across the line, it gives you a warning, but it doesn't steer you back. It doesn't control steering for you. For the X50, sorry, just now it was X70, So for the X50, the newer car, it has level 2 semi-autonomous driving features. So that includes lane keep assist. So if you drive off the line markers, you actually steer the car back for you.
It will steer you back. So level
and there's also parking assist as well. So if you just you don't know how to park your car inside parking or whatever, it will actually guide you through, and then it will turn the steering for you to park your car.
So it can park itself. I think that's a very interesting feature. Something I personally want to test out. I've tested it on some Mercedes cars, and I like it on the Mercedes. The technology is really good. I trust Merc to do that. BMW not so much, but I'm not sure about Geely and Proton. So I'm really interested to do that, to try that out. You mean level 2, by level 2 autonomous, you also mean that it has kind of like a distronic thing, right? That it's able to control the distance, like semi-autonomous auto cruise.
Yeah, adaptive cruise control, which is also available on the X70. So apparently this is going to be called like ADAS 2.0. Yeah, so it's actually more advanced in that manner.
Yeah, okay, so I want to go back to the pricing. So you're saying that, it's okay for the X50 to be priced higher than the X70 because it has more tech.
But only depends which trim you're talking about.
The flagship lah. So let's say, okay, the flagship model, right? But then I'll come back and say, okay, but the X50 is a 3-cylinder. Granted, it's turbocharged, but it's less powerful. I mean, a lot of people look at the technology as one thing, but pricing is... When people buy cars, you guys tell me, what do you look for in buying a car? Obviously, price is one, but you look at the size. So obviously, the 70 is bigger than the 50. You look at the power, and then you look at the features. So in all aspects, aside from the technology and features, the X70 wins. The X50 doesn't have a tailgate. Power tailgate. Okay, I think where I'm jumping a bit over myself right now. Let's talk about the variants. So there's 4 variants.
So there are 4 variants. Interestingly, 2 engine options. So the base model is called the standard. The second level is called the executive, and then the next one is called the premium, and highest is called flagship. I don't like that name, flagship. So there's 4 variants. And interestingly, there's 2 different engine options. So that only the highest spec model gets the 1.5 liter TGDI. So it's a direct injected turbo engine. So that comes with 177 horsepower, 177, and 255 Newton meters of torque, which is pretty impressive for a 3-cylinder.
1.5 3-cylinder engine.
Correct. And then the other 3, the lower 3 spec models, gets like it's also a 3-cylinder engine. There's turbocharged. But it pushes 147 horsepower with 226 Newton meters of torque. So the difference is using a multi-port injection setup instead of a direct injection. But it's still quite impressive for a 1.5 liter engine.
So what are the differences in terms of the variant aside from the engine, like tire size, wheel sizes, and what do you get? Okay, from the way down low to the the standard to the flagship.
In terms of tire size, the lower 2 spec models get 17-inch alloy rims, and the higher 2 specs get 18-inch. And also another difference is the screen on the inside. So the Proton X50 gets a touchscreen panel. So the higher 2 spec models, you get a 10.25-inch screen that's powered by GKUI, and the smaller 2 models get an 8-inch screen, so a smaller screen, which is quite weird because in other markets there's only one size, 10.25-inch. It looks like they specifically make an 8-inch version just for that.
They're punishing you for trying to be cheap. You mentioned GKUI, I don't like that. So if you are a Proton X70 owner, you know the biggest problem with the GKUI is it doesn't support Android. So you cannot use the 2 most popular navigation applications in Malaysia, Google Maps and Waze. You can't do that. And
there's no Apple CarPlay, there's no Android Auto, which is quite disappointing. I mean,
and that means you can't use Spotify. I think a lot of people asked that question during the preview, and the answer was what?
I can't remember exactly what they say, but so basically it's like
you got Jukes.
For music, there's Juke service. And then I think other people don't like Baidu Maps, so they're going to get rid of Baidu Maps with another map which we never heard of. It's called A Maps. Still not Waze, still not Google Maps. I don't know why they are.
Yeah, so for me, that's like the biggest problem I have with regards to I don't know. I haven't seen the car, so I'm just like reviewing it on paper right now. But that's the biggest problem for the in-car entertainment.
Yeah.
I think the user interface. So I've tried the X70 user interface. Is pretty okay. No dramas, no problems there. It's just that, you know, when I drive, I use Apple CarPlay a lot, and I use Waze a lot. So I guess for me, if I'm using the X50, I will have to have two displays. One is for my Waze and one for everything else.
Yep.
And the problem is compounded because you can't like change the head unit because
Yeah.
it's all integrated into this GKUI thing. It
Yeah.
controls
Your air conditioning,
voice,
your windows, your
yeah,
sunroof,
it controls everything. In terms of okay, what are the notable differences in around the specs from the
Okay.
standard to the flagship?
Okay, other than that, on the standard version only comes with 4 airbags, and the top 3 models come with 6 airbags. And also the 360-degree camera is available on the two higher spec models. And also, what else is different? Okay, and also you also get power seats, driver side power seats only, no passenger, only driver side on the high 2 spec models. And of course, the flagship model gets the panoramic sunroof.
I guess for me, the only spec I will buy is the flagship lah.
Yeah.
The
Even
unfortunately named flagship. I'm not sure why. Okay, so usually when you want to name variants, right? Again, it's just like a restaurant. You want to name it so that it's
evokes a feeling, right?
It's ambiguous. Not okay. So flagship is flagship, but it's ambiguous in a way that so previously they had premium and executive.
You mean the X70?
In Proton tradition of variants, so there's premium and executive. There's standard, and sometimes they call it the high line. So premium and executive is ambiguous in a way that you don't know which one's higher. So whether is premium higher or executive higher? Because you know when people say, "Hey, where do you drive?" I drive a Proton. What X50? What version? Standard.
Yeah, that's right.
You either call it the Proton X50, I don't know, Neo or some
Or
cool
just
name lah.
Or just add a letter like, you know, V spec, S spec, E
Yeah,
spec.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, okay, yeah, E spec,
Yeah.
cool. And then you just wonder, is it the low spec? Which
Yeah,
is the
it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah,
Because it's
yeah.
ambiguous. But it's good like, what do you drive? I drive the flagship. A bit
Which
polio
one?
lah.
Standard one lah.
This is
Yeah.
not the Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should call it like the Pro plus S. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, like for example, in China, right, you know the Boyer, which the X70 is based on, when they launched the new version, they call it the Boyer Pro.
Yeah.
Just like smartphones.
Or like Ford, right? So they have the
GR.
Ranger. No,
Yeah.
the Ranger. So the Ranger, they have the Wild Track version, and then the highest one is of course the Raptor. But you know, it's not called the Ranger Lopet and the Ranger
Pro
Canggih or whatever, right? I mean, it's ambiguous that way lah. Okay, anything else notable you want to highlight before we get into like the hot topics with regards to the X50? So a lot of people, so when Alex wrote the story and we posted it on social media, we saw a lot of people coming out to say, oh, I don't. The 3-cylinder engine is a source of major confusion. Some people are saying it's from a Volvo, it's Volvo tech. Some people saying it's not. Some people saying it's a 1.5 3-cylinder. What the hell? It should be a 4-cylinder. So there's like a huge point of contention there, aside from the pricing. So we've solved the pricing mystery. I feel that it's going to be below 100,000. I'm going to call out the CEO on that. I don't think he's going to price it above the X70 flagship.
I don't think it's going to be priced more than a flagship, but I think it's going to be more than the executive models.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
because then the confusion would be, the choice would be, do I buy a low spec X70 or do I get a high spec X50 for slightly higher price than the low spec? Then that's a no-brainer lah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, but the lowest spec X70, is it 100K?
No, now it's even cheaper with the SST exemption. You can get it for 89,000 ringgit.
Yeah, so again, back to my point, it's not going to be above 100,000, the X50.
Well, I think it might be like slightly above, like 10. Okay, assuming it's 105,000, right? Why can't they sell at 105,000? Because number one is there's no competition. Can you find a
How
better
much
car?
is the HRV?
HRV is, I think it's 118 for the base spec model.
Yeah, what would be a better car for 100,000 ringgit?
So, yeah, so what I'm saying is that they are in a very special
They
position.
got like a really good niche there.
Yeah, but of course there are other two more SUVs is coming up that will actually compete in that segment, but it's not going to be like a direct fight because they're going to lose out a lot. So apart from the X50, the other two B segment SUVs are the Hyundai Kona and the Kia Seltos.
No, the Seltos, just throw it in the rubbish bin, man.
Actually, both
It's
of them are the
terrible.
same cars. Actually.
Yeah.
Just
The
different
Kona,
batch.
I don't know what the spec, but the Seltos, I can't remember the Kona's spec. And that unfortunate name, kau buat kereta apa? Kona. It's like, you know, you're gonna kena from that, man. But
Kena from that. Check it, the Kona.
The Seltos, I know the engine's not powerful enough.
It's a 1.6 NA.
And it's quite low spec lah.
Kona is the same thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, I drive a Kia. I think they are really great value for money cars, but the Seltos is unfortunately spec'd to compete with whatever that's available in the country in terms of SUV right now. You know, even the HRV.
But one thing it does have, which the XP doesn't have, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
That's a big deal. It's like, oh, I need that so much.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess the Proton X50 we've established is it has a solid lineup. The standard the flagship model is pretty well spec'd for the price amongst its competitors. Okay, so people are starting to poke holes. There's questions about the engine, the 3-cylinder engine, the pedigree of the car itself. So a lot of people are asking, it's like, oh, is this a Volvo car? Is Volvo technology?
Volvo engine.
Is it a Volvo engine? So what's the answer? The answer is what?
Well, the correct answer is that this 1.5 liter engine is actually developed jointly by Geely and Volvo.
Okay, so
it's a
before
new
you
series.
explain that, I just want to, actually the answer I'm looking for, the answer is, does it matter? It doesn't matter.
okay.
Okay, whether it's Proton or Volvo or Geely, it doesn't matter because all of them have already established a standard, like a baseline, and these are the attributes that the car needs to have. So if it's a Geely, maybe I don't know what. If it's a Volvo, safety and everything else. If it's a Proton, it's I guess for me a Proton is exhilarating lah. Proton trademark always have good handling and it's always involving to drive. I guess that's something that's taken into consideration when they're developing the X50. And the good thing that Proton is owned by Geely, and I think Geely is really keen on listening to what Proton employees and engineers have to say when it comes to developing a car that has a Proton flavor. And from my experience, I think that translates very well. And I feel, if anything, the X50 should amplify that because it's targeted to young people who are looking for exhilarating drive. Now, does it matter if it has a 3-cylinder engine? I don't think so. Okay, so sorry I interrupted you. You wanted to say the engine is what?
Yeah, so the engine is actually co-developed by both Geely and Volvo. So it's not entirely a Volvo engine. It's actually co-developed. It's actually like a long-term process because it's a new series. So this 1.5 liter engine, it comes in 3 different variants actually. So there's a 1.5 liter multi-port injection, which is what we're going to see on the lower 3-spec model. And there's also a direct injection engine option. So that's going to be powering the flagship. And of course, there's a third option that's designed for hybrid, which we don't get here for now. And yeah, so anyway, so Geely and Volvo, right, when they designed this 3-cylinder engine, they actually done a lot of optimization. They add some NVH reduction features to make sure that it doesn't feel so rattly. And according to Geely, they said that it's on par or even better than other 4-cylinder engines.
Yeah, I don't think having a 3-cylinder engine is a disadvantage nowadays. Okay, so 3-cylinder engines have been very popular in smaller cars. The Japanese K cars, the Kanchils, the what else? A lot of the
Canaries and all that. Even premium models also, like for example the BMW Mini Cooper, the base model is like 3-cylinder
the current
engine.
version, right?
Yeah, and
They
also
moved from 4-cylinder to 3-cylinder, right?
for the base model
Yep.
is 1.5, and same as the BMW 318, the previously the base model, not the latest gen, the previous gen, the base model is also a 3-cylinder engine.
And I think the Ford Fiesta, I think the ST model, I could be wrong, but I know the Fiesta has a 3-cylinder engine as well, and it won a lot of awards. So I don't think 3-cylinder is a problem. Obviously, yeah, there are some pros and cons. So having a 3-cylinder engine is light, it's fuel economy, it's small, so you can have a smaller engine compartment so that you can have a bigger cabin space for the same wheelbase size and dimensions. Obviously, the cons is this
it's like
the vibration,
unbalanced.
right? It's
Yeah.
unbalanced because it's 3-cylinder. But because a lot of car manufacturers have been using 3 cylinders from a long time ago, that problem is not really an issue. If you ask me, there's every single engine configuration, every single component and technology that you have in an engine has its pros and cons. So a lot of people talk about GDI, for example. A lot of people don't know that GDI in the long term is not good. You have to clean the ports every 50,000 or 100,000 kilometers, or else all the gunk and everything will get stuck, because the fuel is not injected in the intake port, it's injected directly inside the cylinder, so the intake port is not clean. That's one. So I don't know. I'm seeing a lot on social media. People arguing about this engine. I'm very optimistic. I'm looking forward to this engine. Number one, it's turbocharged, so you get like really good torque. And the flagship model, the GDI version, the power output is quite impressive. So we've crunched some numbers. Let's compare it with Honda Civic 1.5 turbo.
Okay, like for example, the 1.5 TGDI engine, it outputs 177 horsepower, and the Civic 1.5 is 170 horsepower. And even in the torque figures, it's actually much higher as well. So the X50's flagship 1.5 liter is 255 Newton meters of torque, and the Civic 1.5 is 220 Newton meters.
Yeah, so for me, I think, and 90%, okay, I would wager 90% of people that's driving this car, they wouldn't really care what engine is in the car, whether it's 3-cylinder, 4-cylinder. A lot of people don't even know. They don't care if it's a turbo. They don't care what's in the engine. Like a lot of people who are buying phones, they don't care what processor. They don't care what kind of RAM. They just want to make sure that if I'm using it, it's not lagging. And I think for the spec, for the weight, dimensions of the X50, I think it's going to be an exhilarating drive. The 0 to 100 is expected to be below 9 seconds. Top speed, don't know, they haven't mentioned. We have to all test this out. So yeah, anything else you want to add, Alex, with regards to the engine?
And also, all 4 variants, we get the 7-speed DCT wet clutch transmission as standard.
CVT?
Yep, 7-speed. So you get the same, the shift-by-wire gear shifter, same as the X70 CKD model. So that's going to be pretty quick.
These are unique configurations for Proton, right? So I think, I don't know, I don't have any problems with and okay, so a lot of times when people make 3-cylinder engine, it's for cost cutting and obviously it's for fuel economy. So I guess if you drive frugally, there's also a benefit there. And if you drive around town, there's also a benefit there. Obviously, I am disappointed that Proton didn't introduce the hybrid variant in Malaysia. That would be like super awesome for me. Imagine having a hybrid car that's below 100,000. So the only competitor right now, okay, there's a few hybrid cars that's below 100,000
I think the closest,
the Ioniq was like 100,000.
Yeah, 100,000. I think the closest in terms of like the safety features, advanced safety features, and also being a hybrid, I think it's a Hyundai Ioniq, which is quite dated these days actually, but it's still pretty capable for the price.
Okay, so is there anything else you want to add with regards to the Proton X50 from your preview? What other people are saying, whether it's a Volvo or whatever?
Yeah, so people are saying that, this is like a rebadged XC40. No, it's not. It's not a Volvo. Stop calling it that. So yeah, it has you don't call it a Volvo engine. It's a core developed engine, but that doesn't make it a Volvo.
Yeah, and the one thing I think also Geely is doing very well is compartmentalizing its brand. So unlike what you think with how other brands are doing it, a Volvo is not a Geely. There's really very, not minimal, but optimal platform sharing in a way that the brand DNA is clearly separated. So the X70 is obviously not an XC70. It's obviously not an XC90. Similarly, the X50 and the Geely Binyue, both
X50 is a Binyue.
Binyue. It's not an XC40, it's not. So if anybody out there is telling you that, you should buy the X50 because it's Volvo technology, no, don't get duped into that. you should buy the X50 because it's just good value for money, I feel.
Yep.
Okay, so obviously a lot of people will ask, what about the driving dynamics? You know what? I'm going to tell you this. Okay, I'm a car guy. Obviously, Sst Exemption is not a car website. We're not going to tell you that we are. The interesting thing for us with cars is the technology. But I drive cars and I enjoy driving. And if you're going to ask me what about the driving dynamics, I'm going to tell you this. I really don't care with regards to the XC50. I know that it's not XC50, but with regards to the X50, I know that it doesn't matter because I know with regards to the minimum requirements, it's not going to be crap because it's a Proton. Proton has a standard in ride and handling. And I know it's going to be fun, so I don't worry about it too much. What I want to know is whether it's going to be quiet, whether it's going to be comfortable, and whether we can take it, whether it's spacious and practical. And I'm more interested in knowing about that because the X50 is designed for people for that that's looking for that. They're looking for a comfortable car with sprightly performance, zippy performance, with some fun handling characteristic that's not going to break the bank. They're looking for a good value for money. And if you're looking at the products available in Malaysia right now in terms of cars, I think the X50 is perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be winner. So I think if you're going to consider buying a Honda City or Toyota Vios or even a HR-V, I say wait for this car.
Yeah.
And you can place a booking if you're very excited. You can place a booking right now for $500.
Okay, what's the launch window? Do they and apparently they've already gotten like at the time I checked, which was like last week. Today is the 24th of September. So last week, there's about like what 1,000 or 13,000? I can't remember. 1,300 or 13,000 bookings already, if I'm not mistaken. Proton has not made any announcements yet, but I think if you don't book now, the waiting list is going to be long lah. I mean, this video is not sponsored by Proton, but you know, looking at the X70, even that's been launched what 2 years, 3 years ago.
2 years.
Even that has a waiting list now. So, you know, if you like it, if I'm in the market for a car, I'd get it. But I'm not, unfortunately, and I have kids, so it's going to be too small for me.
And also one thing to note is that if you want to enjoy the Sst Exemption, the car must be registered this year. So if you want to take advantage of that discount, you probably want to secure it a bit early.
Yeah.
But of course, if you want the 2021 model, no choice lah, wait for next year.
Yeah, you want the COVID-free,
COVID-free choice. Okay.
Yeah. What do you want to say?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, you go first.
I go first. I forgot what I want to say already. So overall, I can conclude that the X50 is like incredible good value for money. It has features that no one else has in this segment, in this price range, and it's going to kill a lot of car models out there. So the cars like the Vios and Cities, I think most buyers will sway to this car.
Okay lah, the other side of it, and I agree. And in fact, a lot of the features that's available in the X50 are available in cars that are at least double the price
or triple.
Yeah. So, but if I flip it around, if you're looking for a good deal, what I foresee is competitors like Honda, Toyota, Kia, Hyundai will probably throw a lot of goodies and freebies to get them to get you to buy their cars. So maybe you want like super cheap, go for those things. But best value for money, I think my hand is down for the X50. All right, so that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions with regards to the X50 and with regards to the Let's Talk About show? Please put them in the comment section below if you're watching us on YouTube. I just want to remind everybody that we are also available on podcasts, and this is and listening to podcasts while driving is really good instead of listening to radio. So if you are listening to podcasts, you can catch us on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, Google. We're available in everywhere on podcasts. You just need to search for Sst Chow Let's Talk About, and we're there for you. If you are listening to us on podcast, please do give us a 5-star rating. If you enjoy the show and like the show, share it to your friends and families. That helps us get the show out there and more listeners coming in. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up if you find the show informative. drop a comment if you have any suggestions and on how we can improve, or if you have questions, or if you agree with us or disagree with us. Let us know. We're really excited to know what you think, and we really like to reply and talk to you guys over there on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and that's it. Is there anything else I need to say?
Nope.
All right. That's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.